In the world of private jets, three names dominate the skies: Gulfstream, Cessna, and Bombardier. They've built reputations for luxury, speed, and prestige, symbols of ultimate success. But what if I told you that one jet quietly outsmarted them all? With cutting-edge technology, smarter economics, and a bold new design, this aircraft reshaped the rules of business aviation. It didn't just compete, it found the weaknesses of its rivals and turned them into its strengths. Today, we'll uncover how this jet managed to challenge the giants and prove that sometimes brains beat pure muscle in aviation. For decades, the business jet market has been a battlefield dominated by three powerful names. Gulfstream, the undisputed king of long-range luxury, built jets that could fly executives nonstop from New York to Tokyo in unparalleled comfort. Cessna, with its legendary Citation series, became the go-to brand for affordability and accessibility, making private aviation possible for a wider range of owners and charter operators. Meanwhile, Bombardier, with its Challenger and Global families, pushed the limits of speed and prestige, offering aircraft that blended range with status and technological sophistication. Together, these three manufacturers created an almost unshakable triangle of dominance. Their models were symbols of wealth, ambition, and power. For many years, if you wanted a private jet, the choice was simple. You either went with the long-range luxury of Gulfstream, the efficient practicality of Cessna, or the elite speed and global presence of Bombardier. Competitors existed, but rarely posed a serious threat. Then came a disruptor, a jet designed not to beat these giants at their own game, but to play smarter. Instead of focusing on just one strength, like maximum range, lowest price, or sheer prestige, this new aircraft combined clever engineering, lower operating costs, and passenger-focused innovation. It targeted the in-between market, owners who wanted the luxury of Gulfstream without its enormous price tag, the efficiency of Cessna but with more range, and the sophistication of Bombardier without its complexity. This strategy was bold, almost risky. Yet it worked. By finding the blind spots in its rivals' strategies, this jet carved out its own territory. It wasn't about being the biggest or fastest. It was about being smarter. And that is where the story really begins. What made this jet truly remarkable was not just that it entered a crowded market, but that it did so with technology and design choices that outsmarted its rivals. Gulfstream could always brag about flying farther, and Bombardier about flying faster. But this aircraft's engineers asked a different question. How can we make flying more efficient, more flexible, and more comfortable at the same time? The first answer came from aerodynamics. Instead of relying on traditional wing structures, the designers introduced advanced winglets, optimized shapes, and lightweight composite materials. This gave the jet exceptional performance on shorter runways, while still maintaining range and speed competitive with larger aircraft. Suddenly, executives could reach smaller airports that Gulfstream and Bombardier jets often couldn't access, saving valuable hours by landing closer to their final destination. The second innovation was fuel efficiency. Business jets are notorious for high operating costs, but this aircraft cut fuel burn significantly compared to rivals. Operators discovered that they could fly nearly the same missions as bigger jets while saving millions over the lifetime of the aircraft. In a world where corporate budgets are closely watched, that mattered. Finally, the cabin experience was redefined. Instead of building just a luxurious lounge in the sky, the manufacturer thought about passenger well-being. Quieter engines, advanced noise reduction systems, better air circulation, and cutting-edge avionics created a smoother, healthier, and more connected flight experience. For many business travelers, these subtle details mattered more than an extra 100 knots of speed. In short, this jet wasn't built to win by brute force. It was built to outthink the competition. By blending smart aerodynamics, lower costs, and a passenger-first design, it positioned itself as the intelligent alternative in a market long ruled by prestige and tradition. If the engineering was clever, the business strategy was even smarter. The manufacturer behind this jet knew it could never outspend Gulfstream, Cessna, or Bombardier in marketing. Instead, it focused on identifying the exact gaps the giants were leaving untouched. Gulfstream's jets were incredible for intercontinental missions, but their price tags were astronomical, often reserved only for billionaires and Fortune 500 CEOs. Cessna's Citation line was more affordable, but lacked the prestige and performance demanded by high-end customers. Bombardier, with its Challenger and Global families, occupied the elite market. But its aircraft were expensive to operate and sometimes too large for certain missions. This new aircraft slid perfectly between those categories. It was marketed as a jet that could do more with less. Priced below Gulfstream and Bombardier's flagships, but offering greater performance and comfort than many Citation models, it became the sweet spot option for corporations, wealthy entrepreneurs, and charter operators who wanted flexibility without compromise. Another strategic move was targeting secondary markets. Instead of only pursuing the saturated US and European business aviation hubs, the company pushed aggressively into Latin America, Asia, and the Middle East. In these regions, shorter runways, high altitudes, and rising demand for private travel created the perfect environment for a jet that was efficient, capable, and modern. The results spoke for themselves. Operators who once relied exclusively on Cessna upgraded to this smarter jet. Companies that couldn't justify the price of a Gulfstream or Bombardier found this aircraft a practical, cost-effective solution. And charter firms quickly discovered that passengers appreciated both the comfort and the economics. In a market where perception often outweighs logic, this jet managed to achieve both. It looked prestigious enough to rival the giants, yet smart enough financially to attract a broader range of buyers. The arrival of this jet did more than just add another option to the business aviation catalog. It forced the giants to rethink their own strategies. Gulfstream, long comfortable at the very top of the luxury pyramid, suddenly faced customers asking why they should spend tens of millions more for an aircraft that cost far more to operate. Bombardier, proud of its speed and prestige, had to acknowledge that efficiency and accessibility were becoming just as important as performance. Even Cessna, with its dominance in the entry-level jet market, felt pressure as clients began migrating toward this smarter alternative. Sales numbers started to reflect this shift. Charter operators who previously filled their fleets with Citations began to diversify, adding this new jet for customers demanding more comfort and range. Corporate flight departments reevaluated their fleets, realizing they could achieve similar missions at a fraction of the cost. And in emerging markets, where runway limitations were a constant challenge, this aircraft quickly became the preferred choice. The media noticed too. Aviation magazines and analysts praised the design for its innovation, calling it a wake-up call for the established giants. Suddenly, the conversation in the industry wasn't just about who had the fastest or longest range jet, but about who could deliver the smartest balance between performance, cost, and passenger experience. This impact was profound because it proved that even in a market dominated by billion-dollar brands, there was room for disruption. One well-designed aircraft could challenge decades of tradition and force the leaders to adapt. And before we continue, if you're enjoying this deep dive into aviation strategy and design, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow and brings you more stories like this. The story of this jet is more than just a tale of clever engineering or sharp business moves. It's a reminder that in aviation, the future doesn't always belong to the biggest or the fastest. Sometimes it belongs to the smartest. By targeting the overlooked space between Gulfstream, Cessna, and Bombardier, this aircraft proved that innovation is not about copying giants, but about finding where they are vulnerable. Looking ahead, the question is how long this advantage can last. The giants are not standing still. Gulfstream is working on new models with improved efficiency and longer ranges. Bombardier continues to push its global series to new heights of performance. and Cessna is strengthening its portfolio with updated designs that remain attractive to operators on tighter budgets. The competition is fierce, and the cycle of innovation never stops. But this jet has already carved out its legacy. It reshaped expectations in business aviation, showing customers that they don't have to choose between luxury, efficiency, and flexibility. They can have all three in one package, whether through further upgrades, next-generation models, or entirely new designs. Its DNA will likely influence business jets for years to come. For passengers, that means quieter cabins, smarter technology, and more accessible private travel. For operators, it means lower costs and broader mission profiles. And for the industry as a whole, it's proof that disruption is always possible, even in markets where giants seem untouchable. If you've enjoyed exploring how this jet outsmarted Gulfstream, Cessna, and Bombardier, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We have many more stories coming, from engineering marvels to hidden business strategies that shape the skies above us. Don't miss the next flight into the fascinating world of aviation.